Queensland reporter Ashton Krug-Kellis is in Brisbane for us. Ashton, this has been an extraordinary case.
It certainly has, Lisa. For starters, there was never any question about how the victim, Warina Wright, died. Both sides agreed she fell from that balcony after trying to climb off it on that night. It was the defence's argument, though, that this was a tragic accident, a first date that went horribly wrong. And it took the 6 men and 6 women of the jury almost 4 days to come to their decision. But in the end, they agreed with that argument. It was a tragic accident. They decided Gable Tostee was not criminally responsible. He didn't cause Warina Wright's death. Of course, this decision has come as a blow to her family. Many members of her family have travelled here from New Zealand to be in court here in Queensland for the case, and they were very emotional as that verdict was read out. They were crying. Of course, it's been a difficult 2 years for them since Miss Wright died, and it's been a difficult time for many others as well, including all the people who live in that Avalon building in Surfers Paradise and heard and saw Miss Wright fall that night. Just have a quick listen to some of them.
I get emotional when I think about it, I have to relive it.
And Emily, obviously that's a vision that's burnt into your memory.
Definitely.
I kept trying to go to work. I did about 4 or 5 days, and I just had her falling on replay the whole time, and it broke me.
Ashton, thank you very much for that. Now, meantime, Gable Tostee's lawyer, Nick Dore, joins us from Brisbane this morning. Nick Dore, good morning to you. Your client must be very relieved.
Yeah, very, very relieved, naturally.
What is his reaction and what has he told you about the verdict?
Oh, look, it was a little bit bittersweet for Gable yesterday afternoon. Obviously, it was the end of a pretty long period of his life. He was living under a microscope. We didn't really dissect much of it other than he was in a fair bit of shock, and I just realistically just sent him home.
What were his first words to you after the verdict was brought down?
Thank you. Were his first words and only words. Gable's, contrary to a lot of reports, is actually a pretty quiet sort of guy. He's not a big talker. He doesn't talk over the top. But he was very, 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 very thankful. But they were his exact words, thank you. How
did he feel during the trial? Did he think he was going to get off?
Look, it's difficult. If you're too confident, you can jinx it. If you're not confident, you can seem pessimistic. He kept a pretty level head throughout the course of the proceedings. He remained calm. He remained, as I understand people reporting today, unresponsive. Some of them said baffled. But certainly he was a man who was considering the matter very seriously and trying to take as much emotion out of it as possible to get himself through it.
We saw him look to the heavens and close his eyes yesterday while the statement was being read outside the court. That was a clear indication that he was obviously very grateful for the job that you had done.
Oh, well, and yes, and he has. His mother in particular and his father were very, very grateful for what Saul and I had been able to do.
The mobile recording was key evidence throughout the trial,
yes.
But it's not completely clear to all of us who've been watching the case, and that's pretty much all of Australia. Why was Mr Tostee recording their interaction in the first place?
I can't answer that question, Lisa. I don't know.
You didn't ask him?
No.
Why didn't you ask him? It's an unusual thing to do on a date.
It probably is. I haven't been on a date in 22 years, so I don't know, and I certainly haven't recorded any. But I never needed to know, to be honest with you.
Really? That's interesting. We've not heard from Mr Tostee at all, and
yes.
At this stage, I think for a lot of people, we're yet to see any real sadness at what happened to Ms Wright or her family. Has he revealed any emotion or sorrow to you privately?
He has, and I should really clear the air in relation to that point. His lack of sorrow is primarily due to my direction. He has often expressed sympathy to me and a willingness to express his sympathy to the family members, but it's certainly been my advice not to do that. So I'll wear that one. But we were dealing with a very serious matter, which was turning on keywords and phrases throughout a recording, construing an apology one way or the other. I had very serious concerns in relation to that, but I will take full responsibility for Mr Tostee having not expressed any sympathy. It was purely at my advice.
And what about privately? Has he made any attempt, now that that verdict has been brought down, has he made an attempt to get in touch with Warina Wright's family? I mean, they've lost a daughter.
I haven't spoken to Mr Tostee since 5 o'clock yesterday afternoon. So
Have you?
I don't know.
Have you lifted that ban on him showing any sympathy towards the family?
Oh, it wasn't really a ban in relation to showing any sympathy towards the family.
Lifted that directive.
But it was advice that I gave to him in relation to the matter. Gable isn't subject to any further criminal proceedings in relation to this. However, I understand the police have referred the matter to the coroner, so further consideration will need to be given in relation to what comment can or can't be made in relation to, and until we get the true understanding as to what the coronial inquiry is going to be.
The jury was out for 4 days. There was clearly real trouble for them finding agreement. Were you confident while that was happening that his name would be cleared?
Once again, you don't really get confident, but we're very hopeful. We backed ourselves. We were confident some days. Then obviously as it went on, you start to play a bit of devil's advocate. You have a few concerns, but we were always confident in this sense that the jury would consider the matter. And when you take a recording like that and and isolate 6 minutes, it really needs to be put back in the context of the whole recording. So the longer it took for us, the better, in the sense of we knew they were giving it proper consideration. I mean, we've got an hour and a half recording being listened to by 12 people and being stopped and started the way we had to do it when we prepared the matter. It didn't come as a huge surprise as to how long it took, but certainly it had us on tenterhooks during some stages of it, yes.
So what now for Gable Tostee? He's probably the most famous date in Australia. Is he going to go back on Tinder?
I haven't asked him that. I'd imagine he'd be reluctant in relation to any form of dating services or anything along those lines, but I don't know what the future holds. Literally, he came to my office yesterday afternoon. I had a quick debrief with him. He caught the train home, like he caught the train backwards and forwards from court for the 2 weeks. So I really don't know what he's going to do from here, Lisa. So
he's moving on by the sounds of things.
That's
Nick Dore, thank you very much for your time this morning. We do appreciate it.